In each other for quite a few years now. Bhai Sahib is an engineer by training. He is a magistrate in the Coventry Courts. He's also the General Secretary of Castwatch UK. And also he's involved with BOPA, which is the British Organisation of People of Asian Origin. He's involved in many other things, but these are the two organisations that I've known him being involved in. So next to Bhai Devinder Prasad is Mr. Paul Sabapati. Now, Paul is, if I started to list your achievements, I think we could spend the next 1 hour quarter. But Paul is CBE, and he's Queen's Law Tenant for West Midlands, and we'll try to discover later on what that actually means. Bhai Sahib was born in Chennai in India. He moved to the UK in 1964. He completed a Masters at the University of Aston and is a qualified chartered management accountant. After 28 years in industry, holding various senior positions, in 1996 he became the Chief Executive of North Birmingham Community NHS Trust, and he served there until 2000. As I say, he's been on many boards and universities and all kinds of organisations. But in 2007 he was appointed by Her Majesty the Lord Lieutenant of West Midlands. And as I say, we will try to discover what that actually means. Next to Paul, we have Bhai Jagdish Singh Ji. Bhai Jagdish Singh Ji is a human rights activist and an eco-activist. He's involved with Kesari Lehar, but also I know he's been active with the Green Party. And he became a household figure following the revelations that the British government had played an active role in the 1984 assault on the Darbar Sahib, and he was instrumental in making the world aware of the papers, the confidential cabinet papers that were released in the under the 30-year rule. And the Jagdish has got lots of interesting insights into that whole period. And next to Jagdish Singh Ji, and finally, but not last but not least, Dr. Sachdev, Rakesh Sachdev. I'm pleased not only because he's with us today, but he's a fellow intellectual, and I'm always happy when we have academics with us. Bhai Sahib has a PhD in financial management from the University of Glamorgan. He's a chartered accountant. We've got lots of accountants here today. And he's the president of the BOPA, the British Organisation for People of Asian Origin. So I think we should just do a big New Year's Fateh, and then we'll kick off with the program.
Yeah,
so, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So, I mean, if we just go on to the First World War issue, yeah?
Yeah.
At its peak, the British, Devinder, I'll start with you. At its peak, the British India Army was the largest volunteer force in history. And during the First World War, it is estimated that they numbered some 1.3 million volunteers. And in the second, there was 3 million volunteers. So in total, we're talking about up to 4.5 million. A phenomenal number. Many gave their lives not merely to defend the British Empire, which was obviously part of being in the British and India Army, but they also fought against tyranny and fascism. And I think we always forget that was the other side, particularly the Second World War. However, if the wars themselves represented a tragic chapter in human history, until very recently the wholesale erasure of Indian soldiers and their contribution is another injustice. And this history cannot continue to be overlooked. I know that you are actively involved in an event on the 17th of January, which will be in the Belgrade Theatre in Coventry, to commemorate the contribution of Indian soldiers. So just tell me a bit about that and what was the kind of inspiration behind that.
And before I say anything, Ghulamji, on behalf of British Organisation for People of Asian Origin, I would like to say Gur Fateh to all your viewers. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa. First, I think if I start with BOPA, BOPA is an organisation that we had to form because we are into 4th generation Asians into this country. And BOPA is an organisation which actually includes people from South Asia, like people from India, people from Pakistan, people from Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal. And our membership is drawn from all these communities. It's a non-religious, non-political, non-profit making organization. And we had to probably think of forming this because I think time has come that although Asians in this country have made a fantastic contribution to the economy and to the way of life in this country, and people think that our history actually started from early immigration in early 60s. Now, I was actually invited by Mr. Paul Sabapathy. He will probably speak on this subject later on. And I was quite amazed to realize that, like you said, 1.3 million Indians. And I think it's important for me to say, like in this country, people who went to World War in this country were all conscripted. Conscripted means they were forced to join army. Whereas people from India, they were volunteers. Right? They were volunteers. That was the difference between Indian soldiers who came.
Although, just to put a slight qualifier on that, a lot of them were very poor people. So when you are poor and you're offered not only money but also adventure, then yeah, you can volunteer, but in the sense you haven't got a choice either, have you?
Okay, I will not argue on that.
That's my
India has got
history
of
but certainly they were not forced to fight.
They were not.
They were not forced. They weren't given the alternative: either you die or you fight. They weren't given the alternative.
They were volunteers.
Yeah.
And another important thing for me to highlight is 74,000 of them sacrificed their lives. The people who know the size of British Army, I think it stands between 70 to 80,000 today as we speak. 74,000, the size of the whole British Army.
That was the First World War.
First World War.
74 gave their
sacrificed their lives. It's a huge number.
It is.
So I think what we need to probably, understand within ourselves and actually raise awareness amongst younger Asians, because when this World War I commemorations have been going on for quite a few months now, and there's a concern which came to me through Mr. Paul Sabapathy that Asians are not getting engaged, right? Probably one of the reasons is that they are not aware of their sacrifices, right? So it's important for us as Asians
to recognize
the sacrifices that we have made to make this country into the democracy that we are enjoying today.
Especially for
we are not
youth.
just immigrants. We have got a stake in the society that we have created, which we are enjoying. And another thing that is important for us to actually realize is that 74,000 is a massive number.
Of course it is.
And people who are host community, they need to probably understand that. Not many people from younger, the community from this country, they are not aware that we have made those kind of sacrifices. Right? So I think if we may raise this awareness.
I think you're right, and I know that you yourself have been over many years been an anti-racist activist, just like me. And one of the problems is that the white community often have this kind of image that somehow we are foreigners and we're recent, and somehow we've made no contribution to this country. But knowing this history also counteracts those mythologies of race, don't they, of nation. And it's really important, not just for our youngsters, but also for the indigenous community to know that actually Indians, and you call them Asians, gave their life.
I'm glad you said that, because what happens is, like amongst Asians we've got caste discrimination, amongst host community we've got racial discrimination, and people who see themselves as superior, they try to brush the contribution of people who they think are not as superior as them. Brush it under the carpet.
But we do know that soldiers were drawn from all communities, and there were in fact there were some regiments as well. But if I could just, I know we've got some stories as well to share, but if I could just come to you, Paul, I'll put the same question to you really. Is I know that why are we holding this event, and what would we expect on the 17th? But just before that, just clarify for us, what is Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant?
Right.
It's quite a big title.
Lot of people ask me. Sat Sri Akal, it's a great pleasure. Happy New Year to everyone, wherever you are and watching. It's a great privilege to be here and to have this opportunity of talking to you and hearing from you as well. The Lord Lieutenant is the Queen's personal representative. So I cover 2.7 million people. I go from Coventry to Wolverhampton. It is the second largest in the country. And I'm the first non-white person ever to be made a Lord Lieutenant. So for me, it is a great privilege, because I came to this country 50 years ago not knowing anybody. And then 43 years later, I'm the Queen's personal representative. So when the Pope came, I was more senior than Prime Minister Cameron.
Right.
I had to introduce him to the Prime Minister because I was the Queen's representative.
So are you the nearest that we're going to get to royalty then?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Well, if the Queen is not here...
Well, I'll make sure that I don't wash my hands now.
Funny, just you saying that. When I met the Pope, I met some nuns, and I shook the Pope's hand. So I said to the nuns, you can't wash your hands now because I've shaken the hands of the Pope. So I'm the Queen's representative. It goes back about 470 years. Everyone knows about the Sheriff of Nottingham. But Henry VIII, he decided that he would take the power away from the sheriff and give it to the county lieutenant. And the county lieutenant's responsibility was, if you were a free man, you had one of two options. You either paid taxes or you saved in the army. So when the Spaniards invaded with the Armada, they would, Queen Elizabeth I would say, I want 400 men. So the county lieutenant had to raise the troops, had to pay for them, feed them, clothe them, everything. So they were the big landowners. So Clive of India was a Lord Lieutenant. Duke of Wellington was a Lord Lieutenant. They were the big landowning people. They became called Lord Lieutenant because they were all in the House of Lords.
Right.
So that is the reason why. And they were responsible for the county militia. So the county militia were the troops. And that is why all the regiments are called Staffordshire Regiment, Warwickshire Regiment. So till about 1870, they were responsible.
So it's a kind of a semi kind of military title.
Yes, it is. So I am a Vice President of the Reserve Forces. I have a Major General's uniform. I have a lot to do with the military.
And bringing back to the history of the First World War, you come from a military family yourself.
Well, I went to a military boarding school in India, so called Lawrence School in Ooty. And there is one in Sanawar in Himachal Pradesh, and there's one in Pakistan in Murree, in near Rawalpindi, Lawrence College. It was founded by a great supporter of the Sikhs, Sir Henry Lawrence, who died in the siege of Lucknow. And the last words he spoke was never give in. So our school motto is never give in. So some of the little some of the little success I've had is I'm stubborn.
Well,
it's good too.
Paul, you mentioned that, but actually
to show your authority
in Guru Granth Sahib Ji, that line actually is taken out of Guru Granth Sahib Ji. It says, Purja, Purja, Katamre Kabu na Shadeke. You can be chopped to pieces. You should never leave the battlefield of justice.
Well, that is one of the things. I got involved in promoting. I was doing that anyway, but I went to the commemoration of the Battle of Saraguri at the Sandhurst Royal Military Academy.
Was that the one that was organised by Anglo-Sikh Heritage Trust?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Harbinder Singh.
Yeah. So when I went there, we've got a battalion raised from here, from the Sikh community here. And so the Royal British Legion asked me if I would help them to promote the huge contribution that the Asian community made to the First World War. So what people don't realize, that when the war broke out, like always, the British Army was never prepared. So they looked abroad, which was the biggest army that they had, and it was the Indian Army. So they turned. So in France, 1/3 of the forces were from the Indian Army. There is one particular thing I would like to raise, which I think you will be, your audience will be interested. The British Army, the Indian Army, when it was when British ruled, they had what was called the martial races. And I'm a Chawalwala. I am from South India, right? I'm not a marshal, although I went to a military school. The martial races.
Do they eat chawl?
The martial races were the Muslims, Punjabi Muslims, the Pathans,
Yeah.
the Gurkhas,
Yeah.
the Jats, the Sikhs,
Yeah.
the Garhwalis,
Yeah.
and 2/3 of the Indian army was made up of the martial races.
Wow.
So in this country,
And the Rajputs as well.
yeah, Rajputs as well.
Yeah.
So in this country, the majority of the South Asians living here don't come from Chennai or from Bangalore.
None of the
No
Chawalwalas.
Chawalwalas. No Chawalwalas. They're all roti eating from
Chapati.
But I mean, I would, as a social scientist, and I have researched this aspect, the racialization of colonial subjects. Of course, that was part of a wider race theory, and the irony was that in the Second World War we fought against the Nazis because they practiced the race theory, although the colonialists were themselves constructing these ideas about superior, inferior races, and which in a sense overlaid the kind of caste ideology that was there prevailing for thousands of years anyway. But that's a separate issue. Just tell me something about the 17th.
Yeah,
now.
so I was approached by the Royal British Legion. They are having a commemoration of the contribution of the Asians in the First World War. So on the 10th of March at the National Memorial Arboretum, they're going to have a, not celebration, we don't celebrate the First World War, we commemorate.
And that's going to be a huge event, isn't it?
It is going to be a
on the
huge
10th of
event.
March. Let me just tell the viewers, 10th of March is going to be a huge event. It's going to be a national commemoration at the, where is the memorial?
At Alderwas in
Staffordshire.
Staffordshire.
And as I say, there will be Sikhs, there will be other communities in force there, and we will do a special program. We may even do live broadcasts from that event. But so that's the March event.
So for that, I was, I went to Bhai Sahib Mohinder Singh. Can I just, for your viewers, congratulate Bhai Sahib Mohinder Singh Ahluwalia for his award of the Order of the British Empire today. And it is really wonderful. So I went to Bhai Sahib and said, I need to engage with the Sikhs. So I then mentioned to Davinder, would he like to come? So Davinder came, and since then we've been doing lots of things. So he volunteered to organize this thing in Coventry.
brilliant.
So that is really how it is all started.
I'll just tell the viewers, on the 17th, Saturday the 17th of January, at the Belgrade Theatre in Coventry from 2 till 6, there will be a special commemoration. Do you need tickets for that? Do you need to pay?
It's a free entrance, but the seats are limited. We have got, it's a 250-seater conference theatre.
Okay.
But there's a big exhibition hall, right?
So
what we will do
when
is
do they actually book? When do you
How
book
can
the
they
seats?
get-
And
they can book through yourselves. They can probably write,
Is it a website or something?
The-
Or?
Bopa.
BOPA.
Okay.
It is bopauk.org is
Yeah.
the website. And if you probably just put in your request where it says contact us, and we will pick up the
Okay.
request.
And even if you don't book, I mean, just turn up. I'm sure they're not going to turn you away. Yeah, okay.
And there will be exhibitions, there will be displays.
And there'll be something to eat? Samosa?
Yes, yes.
There you are, definitely coming.
definitely,
Okay.
that's a good sign, eh?
We'll come back to Bicep. Should we just ask these things?
Yep.
You know, there's a kind of double twist to commemorating the past, because, of course, not only should we be celebrating our contribution, but we were also fighting this very empire as well. But we have family connections.
Yes.
I mean, and you have those intimate family connections.
Yeah.
So we cannot forgive our own history. We can't forsake our history, can we?
Well, personally, like many Sikhs, I've got 3 generations in the British Indian Army. Subedar Basan Singh, great-great-great-grandfather.
Jagdish, I think
You've
you've
got
got a
pictures
picture
as
up
well.
there that
So
you
that's-
can hold
in
you
the
up.
1st Sikh Infantry.
Just hold you up to the camera.
First World War,
Just hold it straight if you can.
my grandfather, Sardar Magar Singh, at the age of 15, in the Central India Horse Cavalry Regiment, with his senior colleague Dalip Singh, en route to France, the French trenches, stopping off in Egypt, Alexandria, they're pictured there. There's multiple stories. When the war finished, Sardar Mughal Singh brought home a German Shepherd puppy from France. We've had German Shepherd puppies. Many more exciting issues. The racism they faced from the French people at the end of the war. Great galore and great welcome at the beginning, but the racism at the end. Also Mughal Singh and Dalip Singh and fellow colleagues in the Sikh Brigade, I say with great pride, and people will criticise me for this, the Sikh Brigade of the Central India Horse mutinied in 1944 in Bombay during the Second World War. And I haven't got time to expand on that, but during the Second World War, a fact that is not widely known, many Sikh regiments mutinied. In the First World War, many Muslim regiments mutinied. Second World War, many Sikhs who were in full swing for the freedom independence movement, many, like my grandfather, mutinied. Now,
yeah, and of course there was also the Indian National Army that under Captain Mon Singh that actually had 25,000
That's right,
soldiers as well. So there are two different stories to be told.
What the compelling thing that we're discussing here, in my opinion, the contribution that our men have made to Britain is a compelling point. That's what we're looking at, and that's what we need to celebrate, highlight and underline. We are part of the British fabric. We are part of British military history. We have a place, we have a stake in Britain.
Because they've been through the struggles as well, like racism you mentioned.
Yes.
So it's not...
You know, we're not here as artificial immigrants.
Yeah.
Our forefathers, our previous generations have contributed en masse to the British existence, the British freedom.
Yeah.
Jagdish, you know, one thing, Manjeet mentioned this, it's very interesting. If you look at how the Indian, well, we call them Indians because at the time they were Indians.
Yeah.
Asia didn't exist in the kind of lexicon of the way we talk about community. Of course, we talk about Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, Christians, Buddhists, of all different castes, although we don't believe in caste, but they were designated, like some of the regiments were there. So we are talking about their contribution, but there's another very interesting thing to recall, is that the race theories were operating, let's be honest, and that meant that often certain, like the Indian soldiers could not go in the same quarters as the British officers, and there was, and they couldn't even be led. There were certain rules about the regiments had to be led by British officers. But in Belgium, apparently, and France, because both Belgium and France were republics, you know, because of their own independence, they didn't recognise race there. So a lot of the race theories were imported from the British. And I hear that the Belgians and the French embraced these Indians as fellow human beings, and that was a phenomenal difference, you know, in ways that they were probably even, weren't treated that well back home or even in their regiments.
And another interesting feature is on the 17th of January.
They wanted to marry, I mean, all these pictures, all these Belgian women wanted to marry these people.
Yeah, they did.
My grandfather had offers from French women. They want to marry you. But you know, they said our French men are cowards and weak. You great Sikh warriors that we've heard about, you've arrived, we want to marry you, have children
that
with you.
inspired them.
On the 17th, we will be highlighting and celebrating the contributions of the Sikhs, the Muslims, the many multiple communities from South Asia. One community which has been written out of history is the Dalit community. Now, what role did the Dalits play in the First World War? Indeed, what role did the Dalits play throughout the course of British Indian military history? That is an area that I've been privileged with researching and contributing on the
Well, there was a regiment, was it the Ratri regiment?
There's various regiments.
In Ludhiana, I think they were based in
the
Ludhiana.
111th Mahar Regiment, the 34th Sikh Pioneers, the Sikh Light Infantry. These were composed of Dalit Sikhs, Dalits from Mazbi Ramadasiya Sikhs, Dalits from Maharashtra, and so forth and so forth. Now the detail is very exciting, and it's unravelling when you read through the detail, and this needs to be highlighted and celebrated. The Dalits, like throughout Indian South Asian history, have been written out of history, and yet their contribution, their sacrifice is central.
Did you say they've been written out?
They've been written out.
Why is that?
Because we know who are the Dalits. They are the Churas, the Chamars, the low caste.
So because they're very low. And
they're very low, they don't matter, they're not important.
I think that
in the ideology they were low. I mean, they are very high people in my own mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said in the beginning,
they're no different to any human beings.
like when we come to racial probably theory,
Yeah.
right? People who thought they were higher in race hierarchy, they were brushing the contribution of Asians under the carpet. Same thing happened in India. People who were from Dalit community, their roles and their probably bravery has been brushed under the carpet. I mean, that's what we have requested Jagdish ji to probably cover that.
So will you actually be given on the event? Will you be talking about this thing?
Absolutely,
Oh,
with some detail.
good
We
that
were
you
talking
cover it,
about it.
yeah.
And one powerful thing, the British Indian Army gave to the Dalit community an exit and a liberation out of this Indian mindset, this Indian slavery system
Yeah,
that
yeah.
has existed for thousands of years.
Because
Yeah.
India itself was a colonial construct.
Colonial construct with the social poison of caste discrimination.
yeah.
The British military system, for the first time, gave these people in Punjab, in Maharashtra, in Bengal, an opportunity to be recognized as equals
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
military level and on the social levels and the educational levels associated with the military.
Yeah,
And for
yeah.
the first time, you start to see Dalit bravery, Dalit action, Dalit assertiveness emerging.
Wow.
That's
Yeah?
fantastic, yeah.
In the Battle of Koregian, that was
Koregaon.
Yeah.
Koregaon.
1818, 1st of January, 500 Dalits fighters
Wow.
defeat 30,000 Peshwa, Brahman Peshwa soldiers. That's a massive,
That is amazing.
phenomenal
yeah.
military,
Of course it is.
military phenomena
Yeah.
equal to the Battle of
Okay, that's great.
Can I just
Saragari, of course.
Sarigari and others like that.
Just want to add on
Just
the
quickly,
issue
and we can go
of
to-
mutiny. The reason our soldiers, mutinied, it's important for me to say that here
Yeah.
before I forget, because a lot was going on in India at the time. Our Indian independence struggle was going on, and the soldiers who were fighting, they were all connected with whatever was going on, within India. So the reason they probably had to do that. They were in a bit of a double
No,
mind.
Davinder, you're right, but 1919 was a significant line that was drawn in the sand. But of course, the tension for the soldiers was, on the one hand, there's a livelihood for them. They were getting, employment and education. Yet on the other hand, obviously, they were also they weren't happy with the colonizers. So I think there's a tension that was there all along.
I just wanted to add
Just on
some
that, then we'll
yeah,
come to
yeah.
Dr.
I think
Sahib.
one of the things I wanted to add was, for the first time, when in Brighton, in the pavilions in Brighton, they opened a hospital, and for the first time, white British women looked after Asian soldiers. So in some ways, actually, the outbreak of the war started to break down some of these
Paul, let me tell you
barriers.
also,
Like
one of the
discrimination.
people that was running that operation was Bambi Maharani Dalip Singh's wife.
Yeah, yeah.
Who was one of the suffragettes, and actually they were making langar and things. They were actually doing langar and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was a very interesting.
So
moment.
it actually started
A glimpse
to
of multiculturalism,
gradually
so,
break some
yeah.
of this prejudice.
Okay, can I just come to Dr. Rakesh Sachdev? I mean, you've heard various angles there. We've been commemorating this past year the Sikh contribution. There have been many events on the BBC as well, and we had the exhibition at SOAS, which was phenomenal. There was some research that was done by the organisation, the Punjab Heritage Association, who actually laid on that. I don't know if you saw the experience, but they did some research, and before the exhibition, at the beginning of the year, they did a survey, and only 2% of the British people actually knew that the Indians or the Asians actually sacrificed fought in Europe.
That's right.
After the exhibition, they said only 30%. So there's a massive, massive awareness gap still there to be bridged. So what is, how is this event going to be?
Yes, that is our aim. We want to make everyone aware and highlight, by holding this event on 17th of January, the contribution made by all Indians, now Asians. There was Muslim contribution, there was Hindu contribution and Dalit contribution, and we want to make everyone aware of that.
Yeah.
And the event will be opened by Baroness Flathers, and Lord Bishop of Coventry will also be, who is BOPA patron, will also be speaking at the event. and Jagdish ji and many other speakers will be there, and we have a Sikh historian coming from Holland
Bhupinder Singh
to
Holland, yeah.
Bhupinder
to
Singh?
make the
Bhupinder Singh
contribution.
Holland.
Yeah, I mean, by Bhupinder Singh from Holland, he is possibly the most preeminent historian of the British India contribution in Europe. In fact, he has documented every single person that we know who gave their lives towards India. And he's provided, that evidence. It's a phenomenal amount of
And
evidence.
also
have
Jahan
such-
Mohammed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Jahan
have
Mohammed
such
too.
prominent speakers coming on 17th of January, and I would like to request all the listeners and viewers to come and participate.
Yeah, and
in
I
the
would think
event.
that, if you guys agree, we will get a Gall channel to
Yeah, to
cover the
cover
event
it.
as well, with your
Okay,
permission.
yeah.
So we will broadcast the highlights as well. I mean, what is your personal kind of, as a British Asian, how do you feel about knowing about this history?
Well, my father came here in 1960s, and we don't have anything going back. But now we will highlight that we have been contributing to better way of life in this country from hundreds of years, going back hundreds of years, and that is the primary aim.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things about that, there's obviously the facts and the figures, and we need to know the facts and the figures. There's the politics, but there's also the personal stories out there, which really bring it to life. It gave it that depth. And I know you yourself have got very important stories.
I mean, I was quite surprised. I didn't know that Jagdish's, grandfather also took part in First World War. It's a very pleasant surprise for me. My own Nannaji, my maternal grandfather, he was in the First World War. And, I'm a Hindu. And he went there to fight as a Hindu. But when he came back, obviously there was racial discrimination going on between whites and non-whites, but there was caste discrimination going on between the Indians themselves.
Yeah.
And he was so upset about the way he was treated, not by Europeans, but by fellow Indians. That when he came back, he used to keep a buddhi. He was very well learned man. And first thing he did was he chopped off his buddhi and he said, "That's it. I've had enough of Hinduism." He converted to Christianity.
Right.
And he became a Christian missionary, and he then...
Because it's all to do with racism that took him away from
No.
his...
Caste.
It
I
is
mean caste, sorry,
casteism,
that's what I
yeah,
mean to
yeah.
say.
Because
Sorry.
he said, look,
It's the
I
same
was in
thing, yeah, it
Europe,
comes to.
I was treated with so much
Yeah.
respect by European,
Yeah.
and yet our own people,
Yeah.
had no respect for him. So that's where he learned as his first lesson of greatness and equality and humanity that some other probably faith can give you. He learned that, and he came back, and then he became a Christian, and then he...
Can I add, the way the Sikhs, and this is an observation,
Yeah.
personal observation, the way the Sikhs themselves have been presenting their role, and it's been a very glorious role, glorious in that the massive sacrifice that the Sikhs made throughout First World War, pre-First World War, and post-First World War.
I think I mentioned the facts and the for the viewers. You may have heard this figure before, but the Sikhs make up 2% of the Indian population. Yet 25% of all active combatants in the British Indian Army were Sikhs. Which means really every other Sikh family was an army family.
Whilst
And
we were
that-
just 2% of the population of India. Now, what I would appeal to fellow Sikhs about, celebrate your contribution, and it should be in mainstream school history, in the national curriculum, as it should be of all communities, Dalits,
Yeah.
Muslims, everybody.
Yeah.
And that's what we want. But there's a danger, and I can see the danger in the Sikh community. We get so blinkered with just our courage and our contribution, we don't see beyond that.
Yeah.
The First World War was a multi-dimensional, multi-layered phenomena. There's controversies about the decision, why did we go to war, what were we fighting for,
what
was
were
it
the reasons?
empires against
Yeah.
empires, were we just cannon fodder? There's so many issues. The British soldiers, starvation, famine, mutinies, there's a lot of detail. And I would encourage our communities in this journey of discovery, learn the bigger picture about the First World War.
That's true, but Rakesh, I've read some of the letters and some of the research material, what motivated those soldiers. And many of them were, particularly the Second World War, because that was a war against fascism, against Hitler. they were motivated by fighting against a tyranny.
That's right.
And they
yes.
believed in saving in humanity, and I think we have to remember that side as well.
That's right, yes. This is also a celebration of sacrifice and heroism of all those that participated in fighting this tyranny. And we, on the event, are just highlighting the Asian contribution that has been made by them. The whole world knew from right to wrong. And we want to make aware that our contribution and our forefathers' contribution that was made in fighting the tyranny and Nazism of that time.
You could come in, but I just want to throw something at you as well. This will be the last, and we're going to move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the Queen's ear, and Prince Charles, I know, is a real great patron for the Sikhs, but also other Indian contributions in the second one. And previously we were talking about the fact that they've for the Sandhurst event that you were, they actually created this Sikh kind of regiment, as it were, these young Sikhs, and they looked absolutely amazing. Inspirational, and for the young Sikhs in this country. I know that Prince Charles is in favour of maybe re-establishing Sikh regiments in Britain. They were disbanded after the war. Do you think that would be a good step forward to have some regiments? Or do you think that's
I think the important thing is to get more Asians getting involved.
Into the army itself.
I was approached by the Chief of the Air Staff. Only 3% of the RAF are from BME community. So in Birmingham, the majority of the children in our schools are from BME community. So in 10 years' time, we are going to be 10, 15, we are going to be majority. So where are where are the soldiers, people in the RAF, who's going to defend this country?
Yeah.
So for me, one of the important things about commemorating the First World War is to talk to our young people, to say to them, look, the freedoms that you enjoy in this country as British Asians is your forebears, 74,000 of them died. For the host community to realize that the Asian community have been making sacrifices for many, many, many years, going back, and the First World War is an indication of that. So we need to be proud of our Indian heritage. We need to get more actively engaged in serving. This is our country. We are living here and we're responsible. So to answer your question, I think our issue is getting more Muslims, Sikhs, Hindus to join. And then if you get sufficient, then you can go on.
Okay, Paul, thanks. So just to remind you, 17th of January, the Belgrade Theatre, Coventry, from 2 till 6, there will be a really spectacular commemoration of the Asian/Indian contribution in the First World War, and I dare say also in the Second World War. So please come along to that. The seats are restricted, but it's free, and there will be food. So you can go on to the BOPA, the British Organisation of People of Asian Origin, their website. If you just type that, I'm sure it will come up. And if not, then contact the channel and we will give you the information. And please get down there. I think that would be a fantastic event. So we're going to just move on to our second subject. Very important subject. It's a subject that's really becoming huge now. And this is the hunger strike of Bhai Gurbakh Singh Ji. And jidda aap nu pata bhi aaj pajama din ho gaya. It's 50 days today that Bhai Gurbakh Singh Ji actually commenced his hunger strike on the 14th of November 2014 in Haryana. He's been actually on hunger strike in Haryana this time. And his demand is simple, just to secure the release of long-serving Sikh prisoners. And he declared that he was ready to die and will not quit the hunger strike until those prisoners are released. But more recently, interestingly, although his original call was for a small number of Sikh prisoners to be released, he has now broadened his struggle. So he said that he wants all political prisoners to be released from all communities, and he said he wants Hindu prisoners, Dalits, Muslims. He says that the system itself it has got to be challenged because there's no justice. The prisoners have served writs, some of them in the Indian courts, and the Home Ministry has also been listening to representations, both from Sikh organisations, but from human rights organisations, and from international groups as well. And by Gurbaksh Singh, these things will come from you. He's made it very clear that there's no political struggle. In fact, he said, I don't want anybody coming doing Jindabad, Murdabad. और अपनी स्पीच कहता मैनू इत्थे कोई नारे नहीं चाहिए मैं सिर्फ इत्थे मनुखी अधिकारां वास्ते बैठा हां It's a peaceful secular protest and his demand is simply that any prisoner who has served their sentence should not be held in prison because it's a contravention of their human rights. So the question for me is this, and this is a paradoxical issue: what benefit or motive does the Indian state have in denying these prisoners their basic human rights? Where's the logic in it?
The nature of the Indian state, as we often painfully agonize over, it oppresses its people, and the abundance of evidence is there. There is, in fact, startlingly, which the Sikhs themselves don't know, 150,000 political prisoners spread across the gigantic map of India.
From all communities?
Tamils, Dalits, Kashmiris, Muslims,
Nagas.
Sikhs, Bengalis, many more,
Yeah.
right? And often Sikhs, again, one thing we suffer from, we become very polarised and insularised. We just focus on our own. And that's a great failure we make. Now, it's very, very positive that by Gurbaksh Singh, a grassroots Punjabi, has risen up as against any lead official figure from Punjab, demonstrating the strength of bravery and principle at the grassroots level, and undertaken this cutting-edge hunger strike, which is today in day 50. And he's made a call for all prisoners, political prisoners across India, who have been wrongfully incarcerated, who have served their sentences, to be released en masse. So it's a united, positive, powerful call coming from a grassroots level. May I also add, to do proper justice, we also had a similar hunger strike in 1969 by a similar figure, Darshan Singh Feruman.
Yeah.
And he went on a hunger strike for 74 days. And tragically, the Indian establishment did not listen to him. And on day 74, he passed away. So when we're celebrating this current struggle and empowering people-led, grassroots-led struggle, let's also remember Darshan Singh Feruman Shaheed of 1969. And I would further emphasize to the Punjabi people, देखो पंजाब ने सदा ही बहादुर लोग पैदा कीते हैं और देखो कि थोड़े विचों ही थोड़े खून दे विचों ही जरनैल सिंह पिंडरांवाले भाई रणधीर सिंह भाई दर्शन सिंह फेरूमान भाई भगत पूरन सिंह तो हुण भाई गुरबख्श सिंह थोड़े विचों ही पैदा हो रहे हैं ये कोई चंद तो नहीं दिख रहे कोई अलग नहीं आ रहे कोई किसी डेरे चों नहीं आ रहे थोड़े विचों ही पैदा हो रहे and that's a great quality of Punjab, a great quality.
Some people are critical about Gurbaksh Singh, but is it to do with popularity, or is it?
What are they critical of? You know, what is their criticism?
Well, some people have suggested that even
is it been
hunger
used
strike itself is against the kind of Sikh principles.
Well, he's not doing hunger strike as a ritual act.
Yeah.
He's using it as a symbolic demonstration of the power of this issue, the burning nature of this issue, and he's putting his own life on the line. What could be more powerful than that?
Okay. I know that, I mean, as I say, the question is whether, is he just a troublemaker or is he a revolutionary? Jagdish suggests that he's a revolutionary. You've just come back from India and you've actually trod across the states. You know, what's the kind of feeling there, of the causes like for Gurbaksh Singh? Is it a popular cause or is this like a sectarian cause which is often how the government portrays anybody who starts to stand up against injustice?
I think first of all, before I answer your question, I need to say that I salute this guy, who is prepared to sacrifice his life for human rights. You have not a problem. You've got a lot of people sacrificing their lives for religious, purposes. Here is one man who is prepared to sacrifice his life for human rights. And like Jagdish has said, he's not just focusing on Sikh community. He's opened up, his struggle to people from all communities, including Dalits. Now, I've just come back from India, and I can tell you, Gurnaam Singh ji, there's so much injustice going on in India. You know, I mean, Caste Watch UK did a demonstration in front of Indian High Commission because two Dalit women were raped. After raping, they were not satisfied. They had to hang the girls on trees to humiliate a community. Those you know, criminals probably have not been caught, not been put to justice, right? There are millions of criminals who are against the humanity. They are committing crimes and getting away with it. And I think
you know, one of the problems is because I mean, they are political prisoners. You know, whether they are Dalit activists, Sikh human rights activists, they are political prisoners. But the problem is, because their cause is not recognized, then they're in a sense treated as common criminals. And that's the problem.
no, I think what we need to realize is that, okay, politics changes, political parties change. We had Congress party before, we have got BJP now. Things should probably, you know, be more positive now, right? I think time has come. If we were to believe that, okay, these political prisoners were put into prison by some other political party, right? We got BJP now, right? I'm opening this challenge to the BJP government. Yes, we got a man who is sacrificing his life, drawing the attention of the government, you know, to do something about it. Here is your opportunity to think, you know, about what his probably reason is.
Although we are now seeing a widespread of forced conversions across India. So, you know, there are these two kind of different contradictory kind of. We've got a call. Should we just take a call? Then we anybody can respond. So, ਆਪਾਂ ਪਹਿਲੀ call ਲਈਏ ਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੌਣ ਬੋਲ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਜੀ
Hello, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ
ਖਾਲਸਾ,
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਸੰਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਆ I'm calling from London.
ਹਾਂਜੀ
Siddhi, so welcome to the show. What would you like to say?
Just to I just have a quick few points I would like to make. First point is I just want to thank Dr. Gurnam Singh and Bibi Manjeet Kaur for this show, because I'm really impressed by what you guys show every week. It's very refreshing to see this in our fund.
Thank you.
And quickly to the point of Bhai Gurbaksh Singh Ji Khalsa, I just want to clearly say that people who call themselves Sikhs out there who are trying to downplay the Mahan Qurbani of this Gursikh should hang their heads down in shame. Because to be quite honest, in the last 30 years, we've had a lot of people downplaying the Mahan Qurbani of Gursikhs like this. And their simple message is of us Naujwans, Bibiyan Singh to Bani Paro, Singh Bano, Tiyar Bar Tiyar Ho. And to be honest, if we think he's got anything to gain, we're living in La La Land. Because let's be honest, we still got Shaheed Singh's Parvar Pukhe Mande Hale Tak. Unanu kuch nahi milda, unu sirf Sikhi naal pyar a.
Sandeep, can I just ask? Sandeep, I want to ask you one question, because it seems to me that Jo Gurbaksh Singh, his stance is ek ho rang hai. It's like almost a different direction. He's saying, I don't want any Jindabad Murdabad.
Yes.
He's saying, I want Hindus to be released, I want Muslims to be released, Dalits to be released. And he's saying every state in India, there's an ultimatum for them to show, if they're concerned about human rights, to release prisoners in every state, and I will announce them. So do you not think that by Gurbaksh Singh is now becoming more than just a representative of the Sikh cause, he's becoming a representative of the human rights cause, which is what you keep saying?
I mean, that's what Sikhi is about, Faisal. Well, as far as I know, I don't know, you guys are more Gyan ones, but that's what our Guru's done. And
Definitely.
all he's doing is living the Guru's message. I mean, Guru Tegh Bahadur gave his cease, not for us, for the Hindu.
Definitely.
So to me, I think that's very refreshing, and the fact that he keeps repeating the fact that we shouldn't do Murdabad and Jindabad is very refreshing, because as you know, we've got Mahan Gursikhs like yourself who are very educated. I mean, it makes us look very kind of simple-minded just to keep screaming Murdabad, Jindabad, Murdabad.
Absolutely, Sandeep. That's some really great comments, and thanks for the compliments. I don't deserve them, but thank you very much. Paul, I know that you have to tread delicately, because your role does mean that you have to be non-political, but nonetheless, you know, whether one is non-political or political, you know, we all want human rights to be afforded everybody. And let me just broaden this question a bit more. You know, we talk about injustice; it's happening everywhere. Let's look at Syria. Look at the Middle East. There are people being beheaded. Yeah, and in fact, some people are saying what's happened in the world is that governments have become big, nations have become big, and the ordinary people no longer matter. And that what we're seeing is protests across the world, human rights campaigns. And in India, it's often suggested that the innocent are always guilty, and the guilty are never guilty, because it's about wealth and power. Devinder talked about, you know, there's a Modi BJP government, and no doubt at some stage the Queen will be inviting Mr. Modi to Buckingham Palace. If you were the Queen, what would you say to Mr. Modi?
If you put yourself in her
Well,
shoes.
I wouldn't dare try to.
Well, what would you like to say to him?
Yeah.
If you met Mr. Modi, what would you like to say to him?
I'm a Christian. My paternal grandfather, who was in the British Indian Army, was a medical doctor. I would say that one of the wonderful things, you see, I come from South India, and we never had all the problems with partition. We didn't have all the
Bengal
killing,
did.
right?
Bengal did.
Bengal did, but in South India, Tamil
You haven't
Nadu,
experienced that, basically.
we never had any.
Yeah.
So I have Sikh friends, Hindu friends, Muslim friends.
Though Tamils have experienced genocide,
Yes,
obviously
they have.
further down.
Yeah.
But that is not in India, but that was in Sri Lanka. It's a different country.
Okay,
So-
so we've got another call, and we'll come straight back to you. We'll try and mix the calls with our. Hanji, Waheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੌਣ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਜੀ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ
ਖਾਲਸਾ
ਖਾਲਸਾ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਹਾਂਜੀ
I have a very important suggestion, please, and I'm trying to assert this with so many people around. And I hope this
Could you
point
just give me
might
your name,
definitely,
please?
reach you. And this is regarding, you know, the Constitution is being abused by the politicians, and this case is being given more of a political image than the legal image. And what we need to do is we need to put the petition in Supreme Court again and again, because of course Supreme Court had requested for an answer from the state government. So it's the onus of the Supreme Court, which is supreme power.
Panji,
to
can I just
again-
ask you one thing? The problem is this.
Anji?
The petition Supreme Court nu paya. It might take days, if not weeks. You know Indian justice is very slow, yeah?
No, wait a minute, please, wait a
The
minute.
guy is on his
Just a moment,
50th
just a
day. He
moment.
might die in a few days' time.
No, just a moment, please. Let me complete my
yeah definitely go on carry on
my thing. The Supreme Court is एक petition नहीं, एक तो बात एक पहली गल ते एक petition पहला पाना कि भी पिछली आंसर क्यों नहीं मिला, and why it's a big I mean it's non-compliance of the Supreme Court orders in the first place is a great offence, and it is punishable. And apart from that, the state government, if it doesn't respond, in that case, the Supreme Court has the power to order other people, because after the ministries and the constitution, I mean the administration, the ministers, everybody is under Supreme Court. And it is not just one petition. We'll have to follow it up again and again very quickly on a very speedy electric speed basis, because there are people's noble souls, life at stake. Apart from that, the Supreme Court has to be moved. That why hasn't the past gone? Apart from that, we have also to move the Supreme Court in this direction. कि जी because the पिछे तोड़ी एक गल नहीं हुई है, तो जिन्हें नहीं किया उन्हें तुसी hold करो, hold responsible hold करो.
Hanji, Panjit, tada bahut dhanyawad. Tusi bilkul theek hai. Aur there are lawyers, Fulkan others are working very hard day and night, and there are
Working
various
very
petitions taking
closely,
place.
yeah.
But the problem is, Bhai Gurbakh Singh Ji is on his last few days of his life.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just going to come to you, Rakesh, because again, I know
Tada
that
bahut ਧੰਨਵਾਦ
Dhanwad ji.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ
I know that you're not a political scientist, but nonetheless, you know, you know about finance. The problem with Indian justice is that, as Benji said, it's often the state, the centre, and the courts, and people just yo-yo in between. The centre is saying it's nothing to do with us; it's the states. The states is saying nothing to do with us; it's the governors and it's the parole boards. And then somebody else is saying, no, you have to go to the Supreme Court. So this is part of the problem, isn't it? That there is a beautiful justice system in India. It just doesn't function.
It's the implementation of justice
Yeah.
that needs to be addressed here. And I think internationally, what embarrasses the nations is the Amnesty International's role. And Amnesty International will actually drag these issues and embarrasses the nations. That's when they do something about it. But by Gurbaksh Singh's plight and the cause that he has does stand for, and he's highlighted, will bring the international focus on this problem and will embarrass nations to do something about it.
Jagdish, isn't this the problem, is that people like Bhai Gurbaksh Singh Ji bring progressive people together across ethnic divides, and that the people in power don't like that, because divide and rule is a strategy that the British used. In the post-colonial India it's been used, and to this day this is how they keep the control. So really this is what it's about. You know, it's not that these people are promoting sectarianism, it's the lack of response by the government that kind of pushes people.
Indeed, and Bhai Gurbaksh Singh is demonstrating very powerfully that this is an all India, all people issue. Let's unite, that the Tamils, the Muslims, the Kashmiris, the Dalits, the Sikhs, let's unite on this issue. It is a common issue, and in fact I want to proudly and positively say again and again, because this is what Sikh ethics is about, this is what Sikh history is about, loudly and clearly, leadership comes from the ground. It does not come from big institutions at the top, as we're clearly seeing. It comes from the ground. And Bhai Gurbaksh Singh Ji, in his character, in his voice, in his style, he has shown phenomenal leadership to our nation. We don't need to look to the artificial leadership.
It's the second time he's gone to the gate of death, because last year he did it, and then the Punjab government, promised him.
False promises from high up and whatnot. Gurbaksh Singh Ji, you are a living shaheed. You are a powerful symbol of change. You've brought people together. Let's back him. Let's unite the people. And there's no more stronger force in India than when the Tamils, the Punjabis, the Kashmiris, the Dalits, and so many other communities, the Bengalis, if you unite, if only you would unite, you can overthrow the Indian system.
Paul, Bhai Gurbaksh Singh Ji is invoking a long tradition, Mahatma Gandhi's tradition of non-violent, opposition protest. He's invoking that. He said, I don't even want people to use violence in their language. On one of his interviews he said, if somebody swears at you, you say Dhanyavad ji, Dhanyavad ji. So he's trying to invoke a spirit of the nation, yet it seems to be falling on deaf ears. What else can we do?
I think as the Queen's representative, I can't really comment on what is happening in other countries because people will say you're interfering. All I would say is that I think it was Winston Churchill who said, jaw, jaw, it's a war, war. I think unless we talk and understand what the issues are. But it's really for the people of India. I'm a British citizen, I live here, and we might have our own personal views, but I would say that the only way you can solve problems is to get around the table, see what the issues are, and deal with them.
What else can we do to support this cause?
I think enough is being done. The whole, like Rakesh said, this case, is drawing world's attention. And I think India need to be probably very careful that if India is a very progressing country, new government has come and it is promising all kind of development programs. These kind of situations are a bad news for the world image.
Devinder, if Bhai Gurbaksh Singh does, Chadai Kajwe in a few days' time,
can happen any
surely,
time.
I mean, there's no benefit for Prime Minister Modi. He wants to come to Britain. He wants to come to America. There will be thousands of people protesting when he comes. Yet, if he can make some positive, they may actually be giving him flowers. So why? I mean, it's a no-brainer.
I fully agree with you. Because the political prisoners who have been kept in prison were kept there by previous government. Like I said, it is the opportunity for BJP government to do something about it. And like you said,
if the BJP government recently, the Home Minister said that in November 1984, this was a genocide. He actually used the words.
And if they fail to do this, I would say here to the viewers, that BJP will be no different from the previous government. That's all I can say on this.
Yeah,
Right, we've got a few minutes left.
Yeah,
now,
we've
I
only
think.
got about
Yeah.
7-8 minutes
Yeah.
left, and we have one more topic.
Yeah,
so
definitely do.
I don't think we're going to be able to discuss the topic,
No.
but I'm going to just ask Jagdish just to give us some updates, really, because Jagdish, as you know, that a recent release of confidential Irish government papers of a dialogue between the Irish President and Margaret Thatcher to the kind of development of the Anglo-Irish Agreement, reveals some worrying comments by Thatcher, and further kind of has recharged the batteries for an independent inquiry into the role of the UK government in 1980. Just give us a quick update on that and what's happening.
Right. Discussions were underway between Margaret Thatcher and Prime Minister Fitzgerald of Ireland in November 1984, right, the very same year as the horrors of the Sikh genocide took place in India. During the course of that dialogue with Prime Minister Fitzgerald, where Prime Minister Fitzgerald from Ireland was pressing for safeguards and security for Irish Catholics in Northern Ireland, he said there needs to be certain implemented laws, safeguards to protect them. They are a persecuted community and so forth. Margaret Thatcher came out with this very powerful retort.
Okay. Can I just pause there?
Yeah.
We'll let the viewers on tenterhooks as to what she said, but I've just got one last call.
Right.
Somebody wants to come through, so we'll take the last call, then we'll pick up.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੌਣ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਹੋ ਜੀ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨਾਂ ਕੀ ਹੈ
ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਬਲਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ
ਅੱਛਾ ਜੀ
ਕਿਹੜੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੋਂ ਬਲਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਗੱਲ ਦੇ ਕੌਣ
ਮੈਂ ਸਾਊਥਪਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਬੋਲ ਰਿਹਾ
ਜੀ ਦੱਸੋ ਜੀ
ਦੱਸੋ
ਕੀ
ਜੀ।
we only got a couple of minutes, so just keep it brief, yeah?
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਗੁਰਬਖਸ਼ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਡੀ ਐਮਸੀਆ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਨੇ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਫਾਈਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਕੌਮ ਦੀ ਖਾਤਰ
ਜੀ
ਤਾਂ ਫਸਟ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਵੀਕਨੈਸ ਕੀ ਅੱਜ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਤੋਂ ਬਣ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ 'ਚ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਅੱਜ ਇਹ ਗੁਰਬਖਸ਼ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੈਗਾ ਤਾਂ ਦੇਖੋ ਅੱਜ ਕੌਮ ਦੀ ਖਾਤਰ ਲੜਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵਰਲਡ ਵਾਰ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਜਾਂ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੋਈਆਂ
ਬਲਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਉਹ ਕੌਮ ਦੀ ਖਾਤਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੜਦੇ ਉਹ ਮਨੁੱਖਤਾ ਦੀ ਖਾਤਰ ਲੜਦੇ ਆ ਮਨੁੱਖਤਾ ਦੀ ਖਾਤਰ
ਵੀ ਅੱਜ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੁਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ
ਜੀ
ਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਹੈ ਮਤਲਬ ਕਿ ਯੂਐਨਏ ਵੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਰਕਾਰੀ 84 ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਹੋਈ ਅਸਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ
ਜੀ
ਮੇਨ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੰਬਰ 2 ਹੈਗੀ ਅੱਜ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਕ੍ਰਿਸ ਪੈਟਨ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਸੌਰੀ ਵਿਲੀਅਮ ਚਾਰਲਸ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਬਟਾਲੀਅਨ ਵਰਗੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ
ਜੀ
ਹਾਂਜੀ
ਫਸਟ ਵਰਲਡ ਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿੱਖ ਮਾਰੇ ਸੈਕੰਡ ਵਰਲਡ ਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਕੀ ਕੁਛ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਸੈਕੰਡ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨ ਆਜ਼ਾਦ ਕਿਹਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਮਾਰੇ ਕੀ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਅੱਜ ਯੂਐਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿ ਉੱਥੇ ਹਰੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਨਲੂਏ ਦਾ ਬੁੱਤ ਲਗਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਟੈਕਸੀ ਲਗਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਪਰ ਉੱਥੇ ਮਿਲੂ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਸ਼ੀਅਨ ਜੇ ਮਰਨਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਮਰੋ ਕੌਮ ਦੀ ਆਪਦੇ ਮੁਲਕ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ ਮਰੋ ਤੇ ਜੇ ਅਰਵਾਰ ਵਾਸੀ ਫੈਕਟਰੀ ਦੇ ਗਾਤ ਵੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਮਾਰਨਗੇ ਜੀ ਮਾਈਟ ਗੈਟ ਸੇਲ ਵਾਟ ਵੀ ਵਿਲ ਗੈਟ
ਓਕੇ ਬਲਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ
ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ
ਬਲਜੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੁਣ ਸਮਾਂ ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਸੀਮਿਤ ਹੈ ਯੂ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਓਪਨਡ
ਤੁਹਾਡਾ
ਅਪ
ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫੋਨ ਕੀਤਾ
ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਨਵਾਂ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਵੀ ਹੈਗਾ ਔਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵੀ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਲੈਣਾ ਜਗਦੀਸ਼ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ just we've got about 2 or 3 minutes left, so just
very quickly Margaret Thatcher retorted back, if the Irish Catholics were demanding that, then who would be next? The Sikhs of Southall would be raising their flag. So it was a very nasty, cruel comment.
So she was hinting that
she was making it very direct.
That you could create a secessionism within this country. Is that what she was?
Yeah, you're demanding rights there, then the Sikhs in Britain would be demanding their right, and what next? Now, what it confirms, both the comments themselves, but furthermore, the fact that she referred to Sikhs, not to Asians, to Sikhs, it reveals again the very hostile mindset that she had most certainly in 1984. But what we've also had...
So what you're demanding now then is...
What we've had further disclosures literally yesterday. Further new government disclosures under the 30-year rule have revealed a massive new documents which reveal that not only in 1984 but 85
Can we do a special program on those then? We'll get you back?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that then, yeah, because the time is now running out, so we're just going to close it.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸੋ ਨਵੇਂ ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਵਿਊਅਰਸ ਨੂੰ
ਨਵੇਂ ਸਾਲ ਦਾ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਗੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ 17th ਦੀ ਜਨਵਰੀ ਦੀ ਇਵੈਂਟ ਹੈਗੀ, that event is, although we are commemorating war, but wars are sometimes necessary to maintain peace in the world. That we are not commemorating war, we are commemorating that yes, people lost their lives and lives to create the democracy that we are living in. So come and support us.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਵੀਰ ਜੀ
Paul?
I think it's a great privilege to be here and to have the opportunity to talk to you. And it's really for all British Asians to realize that we live in this wonderful country. But all the freedoms we have, our ancestors, our forebears gave their lives. And it's really, really important that we are active in public life and make sure that our children and our grandchildren can enjoy all the freedoms that we have. So we have to be vigilant, and we're commemorating all those great sacrifices that 74,000 Indian subcontinent made, and they won 14 VCs, Victoria Crosses, for their bravery.
ਜਗਦੀਪ
2015 as a Gursikh, I would say let's strive for justice. We all talk about 2015 happy year, good luck, blah blah blah. I would say not that. Let's struggle. Let 2015 be a year of struggle. Let it be a struggle for justice and freedom. And I would simply reiterate Maharaj Dasme Pachah's beautiful words: "De Shiva Paramohe Shubkarma Nite Kabu Nadaro." That should be the motto of 2015.
ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹਾਂਗਾ ਤੇ 2015 ਚ ਮੈਂ ਇਹੀ ਚਾਹਾਂਗਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਯਾਦ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ the peace and the privileged lifestyle that we enjoy by being here has been achieved by sacrifices made by our forefathers.
Absolutely. Any message from you, Manju?
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸੁਣ ਹੀ ਲਿਆ ਇਹ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਜਿਹੜਾ
Everything, yeah, peace. So, Sada, Sama Ithi Samaptya, we've heard some very enlightened views today. And I think the most important thing is that, we have people from different traditions, communities here today. But we are all human beings, and I think that's the powerful message. But, 2015, there are many, many social scientists out there who are saying that there is a lot of poverty in the world, there's a lot of suffering in the world. And government seem to be incapable of responding, and big business seems to be ruling everything. And next year, sadly, I think is going to be a year of protest, but not a protest. It's going to be a protest from below. And as Jagdish Singh said, it's the small person that really matters in this world. Yet nobody hears them. So we will certainly be giving air to those human rights issues, because as we've heard, to be a Sikh is to fight for human rights and justice, and that's what we will be doing, just like Bhai Gurbakh Singh Ji. Just a final announcement. Next week we're going to be having a very special program. Actually, it's going to be outside in Smethwick Gurdwara. A new program. It's going to be called Panth Di Awaz. It will be live from 7 o'clock at Smethwick Gurdwara, Guru Nanak Gurdwara Smethwick. So ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੋ. Panth Di Awaz ਅਗਲੇ ਫਰਾਈਡੇ ਅਸੀਂ 7 ਵਜੇ ਲਾਈਵ ਆਪਾਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਕਰੂੰਗੇ. ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਆਡੀਅנס ਵੀ ਹੋਗੀ, ਔਰ ਉੱਥੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਬੁਲਾਰੇ ਪੈਨਲ ਤੇ ਲਿਆਉਂਗੇ। ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਭਾਈ ਗੁਰਬਖਸ਼ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਵੀ ਕਰੂੰਗੇ। ਹੋਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੇਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਹੈ ਸਿੱਖ ਲੀਡਰਸ਼ਿਪ, ਅੱਜ ਸਿੱਖ ਲੀਡਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆ, ਅੱਜ ਸਿੱਖ ਲੀਡਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆ, ਇਹ ਅਗਲਾ ਸਪੀਕ। ਸੋ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਮਾਪਤੀ ਆ, ਬੋਲਦਿਆਂ ਤਾਂ ਭੁੱਲ ਚੁੱਕ ਮਾਫ ਕਰਨੀ। ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰ ਫਿਰ ਨਵੇਂ ਸਾਲ ਦੀਆਂ ਲੱਖ ਲੱਖ ਵਧਾਈਆਂ ਹੋਣ ਸਾਰੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਗੈਸਟ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।